Call the meeting.
Okay.
Got it.
Hey,
So we'll call the meeting to order. It is 2:03. So welcome, everyone. It's been a couple months since we've had a meeting. It's great to see familiar, friendly faces again. So thanks for joining us today, plus a couple new friends. So thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Mhm.
welcome.
So I saw myself, Lorraine. We're waiting for Karen, Anna, Gloria. Shell.
I'm
First
here,
thing-
David.
Oh, good.
Oh, hi,
Good to
Karen.
see you, Karen.
I'm happy.
First thing I wanted to go over under new business, Henry has decided to retire from the Disability Commission after many years of outstanding service to the community. Henry and I started with the Disability Commission on the same day, I think about 7 years ago. And through all the ups and downs a commission may have, Henry has always been a strong central figure. He's always been motivated, compassionate about people, eager to accomplish good for Bridgewater's disabled citizens. He always had a great sense of humor, sarcastic, witty, and he's a joy to be around. And he had a realistic perspective on life. He is a great friend, and he's going to be sorely missed by the Disability Commission.
It will be. Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
it definitely will be.
That being said, we currently now have an open secretarial position.
Mhm.
Is anyone interested in taking on the duties of secretary for the Disability Commission?
What I will do, David, if you would like, I can temporarily serve in that capacity. Even though I'm vice chair, I'll still serve as secretary until we do have someone who can take that on in the future. But I'd be
Okay,
happy to
that's-
do these minutes and do future minutes if you'd like.
Well, I think that's very appreciated
Yep.
on a temporary
Welcome.
basis. And thank you very much, Lorraine.
No problem.
I would do it, but I don't write very well and I don't do that great.
Hmm.
Else I would do it.
Oh, no worries, Anna. No, I'd be happy to take care of that. Yeah.
And
Writing
Anna,
would be-
I can't talk and write at the same time. I can barely walk and talk at the same time. So that would not work.
but I don't want to read it. My father used to tease me. He said, "How come you write like chicken scratch?" I'm like, "I don't know."
You know, it's so funny. My kids are late 20s and they can't even read my cursive writing. They never learn cursive and they have a hard time deciphering. It could be my writing also, but they have a hard time deciphering cursive because they've never really been exposed to it very much. And, they can print and that's about it.
Well, I'm getting plenty of practice. I've done it for the triad, as you know, for many years.
Oh, true.
A Samaquin, our secretary, will be away, so I'll be doing a Samaquin minutes. And then I don't mind doing the disability minutes. I mean, I have no problem with it at all. I don't
You're kind
mind.
of like secretary for everyone now. Right?
You know,
So the big news today, we're very, very fortunate to have Jason Sutton, who's the Easton Disability Commission Chairman, and Deborah Carley, who's the West Bridgewater Disability Commission Chairman, both join us today. The chairs of the two local commissions will join us to speak informally today on the work that their disability commissions are doing currently, their commission goals for 2023, and more. Their informal discussions will give us a glimpse into the focus of the two local disability commissions. One commission, I know Deborah has talked a lot about gaining grant money that they use in their town, and she's working with other organizations, which is really exciting to hear about. We definitely appreciate both Deborah and Jason taking the time to join us today. I know everyone's always busy and really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today and speak a little bit about what your commissions are working on. So thank you, and thanks for joining us. Would Deborah or Jason, would either one of you like to go first and just giving a little update about what you guys are working on for your commission?
I'll go first. If
Oh,
Jason-
good. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Debbie, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
Well, last year, I applied for a planning grant with the MOD in Boston. And I applied for 50,000 because we didn't have like the pre-planned stuff in place to be able to apply for the grant to fix things.
Mhm.
So I did the first 3 steps myself, and then I tried to do the self-evaluation thing, but after I was looking at some stuff, I'm like, no, it's way over my head because I
Yeah.
have no clue what I'm looking for.
Hmm.
So, this lady from Old Colony in Brockton, which Jason probably knows her because her name's Dottie Fulgenetti, and she's from Easton, and she helped me with the to apply for the planning grant, and we sent it in and we got awarded the $50,000, and Old Colony Dottie is gonna help us write up the self-evaluation plan and the transition plan. And then this year, when it opens in August to apply for the grant, and you can apply for up to $250,000 to fix things.
Can I interrupt you for a minute, Deborah? When
Yep.
you applied for the grant for 50,000, what are you looking to have the grant money go towards?
It's gonna go toward, well, Old Colony has accepted the contract with us to, because you have to have the 5 things. You have to have a couple of statements that you don't discriminate, and another one, I forgot what it was, and then you have to have an ADA coordinator.
Mhm.
So I had to find someone to do that, and one of my friends stepped up to the plate and said she would help out. And she had no clue about anything that goes on with disabilities, but she's really like educated herself enough, and she's helped a lot. But you have to have those and the self-evaluation plan and the transition plan. But our money is gonna go to doing the self-evaluation and the transition plan with the Old Colony, and Brockton is gonna do it. And Dottie is probably gonna be the one doing most of the work. She already did some stuff, because I did meet her last summer down at the town hall, and she was going around doing some open space places that we have, like the playground and some
Mhm.
other places. And she has all that information for that stuff already. So basically she has to do some buildings we have in town, which is like 12 or so, the town buildings that we have to check them all to make sure they're ADA compliant and stuff. And this has to be done before June 30th. So when it's all done, the ADA committee will be able to pick a few things that we want to work on to fix, to make it up to code with handicapped people. And you can apply for up to 250,000. And Dottie told me to like apply for each thing you want individually, because if you lump them all together, then if they say no to one part of it, then that means the whole thing is no. But if you send in for one specific thing and then another specific thing and another specific thing, you might get 2 out of 3 of those. Or if you lump them together, you might not get anything.
Mhm.
So we just hired a grant writer, and last month she just started. So
Can I interrupt again, Deborah? When you say we hired a grant writer, is this for
The
the
town.
town of Okay,
The town hired her. And,
Mhm.
and she just started like a month ago. And she's helping with the grant money that we just got to get the self-evaluation and the transition plan. And in August, I'm gonna be looking for her to help write the grant to get money for the town to be able to fix some of the things. And that's why we're gonna talk about it as a committee, that what things we would like to see fixed first, because we do have a lot of things. Like even the playground, like we have a handicapped playground, but they put picnic tables out there, but they're not really accessible for someone in a wheelchair because they move the tables, they put it up on a hill, they put it on a cement block, but if you're in a wheelchair, it's not a big enough cement block for you to be able to get under the table to, have a little picnic or something. But they are handicap accessible picnic tables up there because people donated them. Different businesses donated those, but it's, the spot that they're in are not really accessible to wheelchairs and stuff like that. So we might start with some of that, and then there's like the ball field. That's like it's a whole big project down there because I have a person that lives here. He's a quadriplegic and he's in a wheelchair, and I have a 9-year-old grandson, and yeah, he doesn't play sports because he's not a sports person, but he tried baseball. But if my person wanted to go down and watch his grandson play baseball and it's in the backfield, he'd have a difficult time because it's not the road is not like paved or anything. It's just dirt, and it's a difficult time for him to try to roll through dirt or roll over grass. Is difficult. And so, that's one place that's gonna need some help. And like, even at the police station, like they have a window, but a person in a wheelchair, you roll up to the window, you're not gonna be looking at anybody's face because it's too high. It's just little things like that that can be fixed. And I like to, try to apply for as much as we can up to the 250 this year. And next year have plans to fix some of these things. And I did have even one person on the committee was a little bit negative about getting the grant, and she kept saying, I don't think you're gonna get it. Well, you don't get it if you don't apply, first of all. And I put a lot of effort into it, so I was like really happy when we got it. So I think that, you have to just put yourself out there and, like you have to have a positive attitude about getting it, because we don't have the money in the town to be fixing all the things we need to fix.
Now, how did you initially start working with Dottie at Old Colony? Had you known of her before? How did that all happen?
She sent me an email to my town email, and I didn't know her before that. She sent an email, and I started talking to her, and she told me stuff. Like I didn't know about the grant stuff because we Zoomed with Jeff Dugan like in March or something last year, and he told us about it. And then Dottie sent me an email, and like she helped me put everything together, and I went to her office and I got to push that little button, send it in. It was like exciting. So you think it's not exciting, but it was exciting for me. So anyways, that's how I met Dottie. And I've talked to her recently. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and we talked about, like getting started on the 2 things that we need to finish to be able to apply for the grant money. But those 5 steps that are there, every town is supposed to have those, and we don't have those already in place. But like it should already be in place in Boston. It should have been done years ago, but there's a lot of things that should have been done, and I don't really know why. And now I'm the chairperson, and people, if they didn't want something done, they shouldn't have elected me, because I'm not gonna sit around and talk about it, because you can't get anywhere just talking about it. Nothing gets done. And I think
Deborah, I have one more question. How did you work with the town of West Bridgewater to get the grant writer in place? I mean, that's an awesome
I
opportunity.
didn't really have anything to do with them hiring her.
Okay,
I just think that I think the town probably just thought we should have one, because we have other departments that do apply for grants,
mhm.
and filling out the forms for the grants, some of them are not that easy. There's a lot of stuff you have to have in it, a lot of information, and like the one that I just did is probably wasn't as bad as the next one's gonna be, because you have to have like how much you need to do this, and what you need to make that more accessible. And I think you need some prices in there too. So it's a little more detailed than what I had to do. So I think when Dottie writes up the self-evaluation, all that information about and the transition plan, it's going to have that information of what materials you need and how much of it, and hopefully like some costs associated with that, so we know how much each project is going to cost. So I think it's good that we do have a grant writer now, because it's really hard filling out forms for grants, because there's some things on there I don't even know what they're asking. And because like I said, I never did this before, but I'm not going to stop now, because I already
Yeah.
got one, so I'm moving on, and I'm going to
Good for
apply
you.
everywhere, because you can get, if you don't get 250,000 this year, you can apply next year. Because like some towns get some and some towns you don't, but they do like to give it to towns that haven't received funds before. So, like you might get a year where you don't get anything, but you apply again the next year, and hopefully you get some stuff to be able to fix some stuff the next
Yeah,
year.
that's great. Yeah, sorry to interrupt real quick, but that's fantastic, Deborah. And yeah, Dottie was telling me that she was helping you guys with that. So
Yeah.
Dottie's our select board liaison on the Commission on Disability in Easton. So she's actually the chair of the select board in town. But that's one thing I encourage you guys to look into, is seeing if you can get someone on the select board liaison to serve on your commission. But yeah, so but basically one of the requirements to get that 200 and up to 250,000 that you can get from the state, you're required to have an ADA self-evaluation and transition plan, which is what I think you're saying, Deborah, you got the 50,000 for. So basically it's a self-eval and transition plan is a plan that basically kind of just lists all of the main things in town, particularly with structures, buildings, town buildings, and the things that would need to be done to make it ADA compliant. It doesn't mean that you have to do it, but that's one of the requirements that the MOD needs to see for you to get money for the grant. But the other great thing is that if you don't have one, you can do like what Deborah did with her team, and actually apply for a grant to fund having somebody create that for you. Our ADA self-eval plan, we're lucky enough that our town engineer created that for us. So you guys, instead of, before you start reinventing the wheel, you may want to double check with your town engineer just to see if there isn't already one in place. But if not, that would be your first step, is doing what Deborah recommended, is applying for that grant to have somebody write up a self-eval plan for you guys.
And we don't have a town engineer, I don't think. We have a building department guy, but we don't even have all these things. Like the first 3 steps are in place, and they've been sent to Boston already, but the other 2, we have to hire someone to do, because I was trying to do the self-evaluation and I don't know how many feet something's supposed to be from someplace, or I don't know a lot of things, and so I'm gonna go with Dottie when she goes out to look at places and stuff, and I'm gonna learn a lot more stuff about, like, this is how much this has to be wide or down or up or whatever, and signage, we don't have any signage around for handicapped people, so that's another area that we could use some stuff in too, so it'll be good to go with Dottie and see for myself what needs to be done, because then it educates me more.
David?
Yeah, yes, Lorraine.
David, well, Jason did explain the self-eval. That was one of my questions, exactly what that was, what you
Right.
were looking for. So regarding the transition plan, is that what you're trying to accomplish? Is that what the transition plan means then, or what is that?
The self-evaluation, you'll find the things that you need to fix, and then in the transition plan, that will tell you how to fix those things that need to be fixed, and
So would that be part of the reason for applying for the $250,000 grant? Because those are some of the projects you want to accomplish? Is that what that means, the end result?
I got
For the
I got the-
transition?
Yeah, I got a planning grant for this year, so I can get a self-evaluation and a transition plan done. So this year in August, I can look at the two of them and figure out, like what we want to work on to fix next year, because it'll come out in December, and then you'll have to, have some
Mhm.
stuff in place to be able to fix these things, and because it'll have to be done probably by June 30th too. So, but those will tell me what I need to fix. And then, like once you fix it, you can just update your plan and say, well, this is done. So we don't have to have that on the transition plan anymore and stuff. But every town is supposed to have those already in place, but we do not.
Mhm.
So that's why I did um, the planning grant. And I asked for the $50,000 because that's how much Dottie says it would cost to have it done. So that's why I asked for that much money. So we would have enough to pay that, because our board doesn't really have a lot of spending money. Like we always had 500, but I did ask for a little more because I think some of us on the board need more training, and I didn't know if
Mhm.
they charged money for trainings in Boston. So our budget technically is going to be like $1,000 to spend on, like, if we do have to pay for training and stuff like that, we have some funds, but if we don't have to pay for it, we just go the freeway.
Could I ask Deborah a question? Does she
Please.
work with the ADA coordinator? Does West Bridgewater have an ADA coordinator? And would that be somebody in the building department, building director, or who would that be?
It was supposed to be the building guy, but he didn't want to do it for whatever reason. I don't know, but I know that we have a lot of buildings going up because of like 40Bs and stuff like that. And we have people developing property off of, I forgot the name of the street, but Scotland Street, I think it is. We have a lot of buildings going in over there, and I think he's just got a lot of people, but he's supposed to be getting another person to help him with that stuff. But right now, one of my friends, I asked her, and she volunteered to be the coordinator. So she's been doing really good at it. She's done some videos, and like she should read up on stuff, and she gets people moving. If I need someone to tell me something, I just call her and say, "Can you help me with this?" And she does it. She was going to try to come today, but she has a new job, so she couldn't come. But I think we're recording or something, so she was asking me if she can maybe get a link to watch the video later.
Mhm.
So if that's possible, I could
Yeah.
let her watch that. But yeah, she's been really good. She's been very helpful, and it's hard to find people to volunteer
Right.
to help you
Oh,
out.
it is. It definitely is. Deborah,
Yeah.
you've given us a lot of great information.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any other questions for Deborah before we move on to Jason?
No, I thank Deborah for a wonderful presentation, and it gives us some food for thought as far as moving along ourselves and connecting, with some of these different departments or whoever can help us along the way, and maybe, future grants. But I think a great way to go would be through our town engineer to find out if there is some kind of a self-eval plan
Great.
created in the past,
Deborah,
You
Deborah,
can-
you've given us so much great information.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
Thank-
sharing it with us, and I hope you allow us to stay connected with you
I
in your
know.
mission going forward, because I think it's really important that we share information as we go forward. And I don't want this to be just a one-time, visit us and it's over. So
Mhm.
I hope that we're able to stay connected as we go forward.
It would be
Thank you.
good. And you could probably check with Boston, and they can tell you if you have all that stuff already in there, because it should go to Boston. So
Mhm.
you can,
That's
mean,
a
the
good
first-
idea.
the
Yeah,
first three are pretty easy, because you can get a format where it's all, everything's written out for the
Mhm.
first three steps that you need to have. And they do have one for the self-evaluation and the transition plan, but that wasn't helping me any, because it was too much stuff that I don't know
Yeah.
about, but
Mhm.
but you can
well,
get.
thank
help
you.
in.
Thanks again, Deborah. Jason, what would you like to have a presentation at this point? Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll just touch on like a few things, that I suggest doing, but Deborah covered several of them, within one shot pretty well. So I'm not gonna go over all that stuff again. But one thing I recommend, last time you and I spoke, David, I don't think you guys had in place a 22G account. But that's kind of one of the things that MOD usually recommends or pushes. But so basically what it is that Commission 8J, Commission on Disabilities, have the option of submitting a warrant article for a vote at annual town meeting or special town meeting for them to agree to adopt the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 22G. And basically what that does is that actually creates an account for the Commission on Disability, and all handicap parking fines and violations issued by the police in town, all that money is sent directly to an account, 22G account it's called, that is dedicated and reserved exclusively for the Commission on Disability to use to, they actually gives them funds and the ability to issue grants themselves, to help, but it has to be for a public purpose. You could use the money to, fund the purchase of some access panels, which could be like $1,000, that could be laid out at like a beach area, on a grassy area to help people in wheelchairs. Or you could even just put the money, or you could grant the money towards helping to improve, accessibility at a public building, something like that. But did you guys have any questions on that?
I
Anyone
did
have a
hear,
question?
I did read that, yes, under the MOD, that we do have access to be able to do that. It's a step we haven't taken yet, but it's something to definitely look into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And if you want, and feel free to reach out to me, if you want
Mhm.
a template or anything for the warrant article, but yeah, you probably just send that to the town administrator. And let's see what else I had. Oh, yeah, I always highly recommend that members do the MOD CAM training.
Mhm.
If you haven't already done so, that's usually the one thing I always encourage my members to do. It's like the one thing that you probably should try and do at some point. So, and they don't offer them all the time, but MOD offers trainings where you can become a certified community access monitor, where they give you the skills over the course of 2 days, usually to, and it's just a great overview of all the disability laws pertaining to accessibility. But it gives you the knowledge to actually just go out in town and just observe and just kind of see and what's in compliance and what's not, you know, and that is and that in anything you do identify, you know, you can help advise people on what should be done, or you can have your town engineer or have whoever you might retain add it to the ADA self-evaluation plan, you know, and transition plan. But or even if it's just a private business, you know, if there's an entrance or something that's just not wide enough, or there isn't a ramp and it's something, you know, readily achievable that could be fixed, you know, then you know, it just gives you the tools and the knowledge to identify those barriers. And also how to go about approaching and speaking to businesses or people about fixing those, you know. So what else
Can I
did
just interrupt you for 1 second?
yeah, please.
That they're offering a CAM training the first week in April. And I already signed up for it because I was thinking that's going to be good for me. And I did send the link to the other people on the board. And it did say to check the calendar because I think they're going to try to be offering it more, because it has more dates going to be available for that. But they do have one coming up the first weekend in April. I don't know if it's the 5th or 6th or the 6th or 7th, but
David, I think you did send it out to us.
I
Right.
did say that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that too. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it gives you a great overview of everything, even how to get a 22G account, I believe, as well as,
Mhm.
you know, applying, getting a self-evaluation plan. But all that's pretty good.
Jason, if
Yeah.
I can interrupt you for a minute. What are you folks from your Disability Commission working on this year? Like, is there any special projects that you guys are working on this year that you could share with us?
Yeah, well, actually, we did just finish helping our town with this big elementary school project. Huge, brand new school for elementary kids, but but our involvement on that is we have 1 or 2 people who are really good, and you know, they really enjoy going out to sites and, you know, looking for violations or advising people on things. But we had one member who, you know, worked with the architectural team that we hired in town for that project, and he did a couple site visits with them and just made some observations and recommendations based on the knowledge that he has just from you know, doing the CAM trainings and other stuff, and just by doing it. But yeah, he advised them on a lot of different things. And he also, this particular member is great. You know, there have been the past year, there has been a lot of construction on some roadways in town, and they were reworking or reinstalling sidewalks, but there were some areas of the sidewalk that had telephone poles that just weren't wide enough to accommodate people in wheelchairs. But you know, we also do site visits. We had what was it, a pavilion that was installed at one of our town parks, and it was like located in the middle of a grassy area, and there's like a child playground and a basketball court, and you know, we worked we looked at that and just advised our town engineer about adding that to our ADA self-evaluation plan and trying to put in some walkways that just will make it accessible for people, that can't traverse a grassy terrain. So those were kind of like the big things, but we do handle a lot of individual complaints.
Mhm.
And like we have issues, I get complaints regarding like service animals, businesses not letting people in with service animals, and housing authorities not allowing them to have bird feeders, and kind of advising on things like that, and landlord tenant disputes regarding proper snow removal, so that people can gain access to their housing. And also handicap parking too, there's certain requirements that, businesses and housing, they need to have a certain number of handicap parking spots. So that's another thing that we've individually advised businesses on. But as far as like major ongoing projects, we kind of wrapped up the one with the elementary school project. But I know one of our other members recently worked with the Human Rights Committee in town, and they did like a seminar, it was like just kind of an online forum or podcast, just about disability awareness. This particular member is in a wheelchair, and it was really interesting. I listened to them speak. A lot of it comes from people who are wheelchair bound, offering personal insight, into what it's like to live that way, and just some of the common things or issues or barriers they encounter. Let me see. So I think that was about it. And we did, as far as like a project, we did take advantage of the MOD grant that Deborah thoroughly discussed and covered. Our town engineer applied for $50,000 to install a handicap access ramp at the Council on Aging office in town. But that was a few years ago. We haven't been successful in getting a grant since then. I think that was probably because that was the first grant we ever applied for in a while, if ever. But usually if they see you're a first time applicant, they give you a lot of preference and priority. But more so if you're applying to get a grant to get a self-evaluation plan put in place. But that was a big win. And I think that's pretty much all I had on that, or that I can think of right now. Did you guys have any questions on that stuff?
Anyone with questions?
I actually had the opportunity to go on their website, and it includes some great information about what we do. And I thought that was wonderful. And it sounds like Easton is really moving forward, with some of the major projects, and even just dealing with the public in general for their issues. So, thank you again for your insight and input. We really appreciate it. Great.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, Deborah or I'll include my, well, you think, David, you have my email and contact.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, is there any other questions at all, anyone? For Jason, again, I thank you for your time, your information. You've been very informative, and I hope we can work together as we go forward. I just like I mentioned to Deborah, I just don't want this to be a one and done. So I look forward to reaching out again. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure to help.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
guys.
much.
Have a good meeting. I got to jump off. Good seeing
No,
you.
I know. Thank you very much, Jason.
Okay,
Take care.
take care. Thank you.
All right, you guys. Have a good one.
Yeah,
Take
you
care.
too.
Okay.
Oh,
Joe.
good.
We got quite a bit of good information there. That was great.
I know.
It's good to see other towns helping out the disabled too.
It
Now,
really is. Yeah.
Lorraine,
Yes.
we
Oh.
met before our ADA coordinator. They were not, it was the engineer, correct? It was our town engineer.
I think it was, is it town engineer or was it the building inspector?
Maybe it was
No.
the building inspector.
I thought it was the building inspector.
So,
Our
okay,
building inspector is our town engineer currently. I don't know much about the history prior, but Steve Solari fills both roles.
oh,
Oh,
that's,
okay.
that's definitely who we spoke with.
Yeah, I know there's been some movement around with positions, so I wasn't sure, Okay,
So I would say that we probably have none of what was described to us in place. And this was several years ago. We spoke to Steve Solari in a meeting, and he was aware that he was ADA coordinator, but he was not too involved at that time. And it's been some years, so that could have changed. But
Mhm.
maybe it would be beneficial to us to reach out to him again, and maybe share some of this information, and start with maybe he could join us in one of our upcoming meetings, and we could kind of set the stage to move forward with some of these things.
As I recall, when we talked to Steve Solari, I think he attended 2 meetings since I've been on the commission. And one, he was just told by Mike Dutton that he would be the ADA coordinator, didn't have much say in it nor any interest in it. And he
Right.
did attend the meeting we had that was kind of hybrid. We met in person, and Jeff Dugan from Mass Office of Disability was on the screen, and
Right.
kinds of information. And then I don't think we've seen Steve at our meetings since that time.
No, you're right. We have not. We have not. I think,
So maybe we invite him to a meeting. you
right,
know,
I
bring him
think, I
back.
think that's a great idea.
Yep.
And I think what both Jason and Deborah talked about with getting the self-evaluation plan in place would be a good starting point for the town of Bridgewater. And maybe Steve would be interested if somebody was, the thing is, it takes a lot of work, like Deborah was mentioning, and it's great. She got basically someone to walk her through this whole process. And it seems like it's overwhelming if you don't have someone with a lot of knowledge.
You
What
do
was that
need it.
woman's name? Dottie. And,
Yeah.
and she walked them through and got them the grant money. So I think that's great. But no, that's right. Maybe that would be a good first step for us to work with Building Inspector Steve Solari and go from there.
Because like he did mention, we could even have something that's already in place, and why reinvent the wheel? There could be
Exactly.
something that could already be in place. And then we can move even further along. If
Good.
that's already done,
Does anyone have any questions or comments on that? Okay. A couple of things old business. You guys have been by the Bridgewater Housing Crosswalks? My
Yes,
question there,
Yeah.
it looks like they have solar panels at the
Mhm.
top of those signs. Are they supposed to light up at night, or what do you think? Because they don't.
I don't know if they are or aren't supposed to. I don't know.
Because they're harder to see at night. I mean, you can still see them, but at the top of the sign is like a little box that's facing up, like a little solar panel.
Yes,
And
yeah,
it's maybe, I don't know, like a 10 inches or whatever square facing towards the sky. So to me, it looks like a solar panel. And then I thought, well, maybe it's a solar panel that they light up, but they don't. And I would have thought maybe they would flash or something. So, who I could reach out to is Chris Hartman and
Oh,
ask him
yes.
about that.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The next thing, suggestion of possible invitations to Bridgewater officials, university members, peers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, kind of going along with that. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read it because it came out just moments before our meeting. Did anyone see the email I sent you from Mike Dutton.
I actually read the whole email and I actually responded to Michael. I think I forwarded you my response.
I saw your comment.
Michael, yes, yeah. I think it's a
Not
great way to
respond, I
go.
had nothing polite to say, so I
Yeah.
did not.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was a great way to move in a, you know, hopefully in a positive direction, ensuring communication will be established. I think Josh McGraw is put in a great position where he's going to be able to try to move along town boards and committees. The other thing that I was hoping that we could talk about, obviously with the changing of the ending of the pandemic that's going to be happening in May, there was some conversation in Michael's email that with a lot of these meetings being on Zoom, it's actually inspired a lot of people to volunteer.
Mhm.
So that's really helped a lot. My thought is I'm kind of hoping that we can continue with the Zoom. I just think it makes it so much easier to move along and
Right.
rather than trying to find parking and everybody's reaching to one destination. And I just, to me, the Zoom works. I don't know how other people feel, but I think the Zoom is a great way to go.
I
Well,
think
personally,
the state
oh, go on.
says- so we're on Zoom because the state said so. If the state says no more Zoom, then we have no more Zoom. I
Oh,
don't think
right.
any say at all in this.
Oh, I mean, oh, that's a totally different, yeah, definitely. If whatever their guidance is, we have to go along with.
Right.
But if there is that room to be able to have the Zoom, I think it's a great way to go.
I don't want to read the whole thing, but basically what
Yeah.
Mike said is his office is ready to work on revised meeting protocols. And he goes on from there.
Yeah.
Just like you said, Lorraine, they have many new members that have joined because they can do the virtual meetings. What he
Yes.
did say that's very specific, this is quoting Mike, "I am reluctant to reinstate in-person meetings,
Mhm.
noting that these volunteers would have to give up their seats. In any case, once we see what direction the state legislator will be headed, we will develop a policy
Yeah.
for Bridgewater with input from you."
Mhm.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
I personally used to really enjoy in-person meetings.
Mhm.
I will say, you know, it's certainly
I do too.
easier to do it on Zoom.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be up to the town. And I suppose we could do, what do they call it when you can do both, where some people.
Hybrid.
Hybrid, I
Yeah.
couldn't think of the word. I'm getting old. I cannot think of individual words, but the hybrid, you know, maybe we could do that for people that want to continue.
Right. Oh,
But-
don't get me wrong. I love being in person with people, believe me.
Right.
I'm social, but I'm just saying, if we need to have room at, you know, trying to find space in the academy building and trying to park at the library, to me, that's a hassle. Even if we could just have it at the senior center, it just makes it so
Mhm.
much easier for everybody, I think, you know?
Yeah, I like in person because you learn more from being together.
Right.
Right,
If we
right.
could just have an established location that's easily accessible, because we are a disabilities commission. So we want to make it as easy as possible to be
Well,
able
back
to
in
have
the-
people. you
Back
know?
in the day, we did have our meetings at the academy building. I mean, we were in
Yeah.
one of the little, and that was nice. So, you know, I don't know what would be available going forward. I think I like that. A lot of the rooms are just perfect for a group of 5, 6, or,
Mhm.
you know, that many people. So that was very nice. The biggest thing out of this board and committee reporting from Mike Dutton that I thought was really, really important, and he led the conversation. He wrote, "As you know, committees and boards play a critical role in making a Bridgewater a desirable place to live, work, play, and study. I would like to make sure that the communication between my office, Mr. Dutton, and your committee, which is to everyone, between the town council and your committee and among the committees is as robust as possible. Information sharing is critical to the long-term success of the town and ensures that council's policies and goals are known throughout the town and your committee initiatives are known throughout the committee and board structure. Josh is going to ensure that the committee is up to date with information from Mr. Dutton's office's activities, etc. He's gonna inform the committees, what individual commissions are doing. So there's gonna be a lot more back and forth communication, and I'm not reading this whole thing, but I
Mhm.
did send a copy to everyone, so everyone should have a copy of this from Mike Dutton email.
I
Mhm.
really liked the idea from our guest who was here earlier about having a liaison directly from town council.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
I'm exceptionally
one's-
uncomfortable with a middleman. And I think that always leads to problems. I'm not comfortable with Mike's decision to put Josh in between every
Mhm.
commission and committee and his office and the council. And I think having direct access is important. So
Mhm.
that is just my own opinion. And I would hope that if we're going to pursue important things, that we would have direct access.
I did see that designated liaison, and I was wondering, I mean, why can't we have a designated liaison? I think that is a great idea, you know.
Liaison. I think you're right.
Yeah,
Liaison. Okay,
because I believe Josh obviously serves in more of, it's an administrative function that
Right.
Josh serves in. We're looking for someone who's a liaison, a go-between and someone who can help us through the process of, other than administrative items.
Any additional things, it's like that kids game of telephone. The more people who the
Yeah.
information has to travel through, the more
Yes,
likely it is to be wrong. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Lorraine, you wanted someone that was just newly put into place to maybe join us in a future meeting. Who was that? Do you remember? You reached out to me and you said there was someone from the town council possibly. There was someone you said they would be a good person to have on one of our upcoming meetings.
I did.
You did.
Let me stop and think, because
I can't think.
I've spoken to so many people.
Yeah, I don't.
Let me think about that. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody.
I know they
Did I
just redistricted and all kinds of stuff.
I know. Did I mention someone on the town council? Is that what I mentioned?
It was someone that was fairly new to the town council, but they had other responsibilities. And I'm trying to think. I can't think of their name. You mentioned their name too. So you know what? I'll look at a former email and reach back out to you. But
Oh, okay, yeah.
there was
yeah.
somebody that you had suggested that we
Oh,
have an upcoming meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And
Good.
like you mentioned, David, there is a vacancy, so hopefully
Right.
one of our longtime participants here, very active member, might think about applying possibly with the initials of GL. So we'd love
What
to
is this? Hint.
we would love to have her on board,
Oh,
in a
yes.
permanent position. I mean, God,
The person with the initials GL knows we would love to have her on board.
I know. Yeah, we really
Thank-
would. We really would.
I know, well, right now she's dealing with something at home, so
Mhm.
you have to let me get past that.
Absolutely. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. We're
Whatever
not
you
going
need,
anywhere.
Gloria.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere, Gloria.
Okay,
Hmm.
So if anyone has agenda topics for the next meeting, something you would like to discuss, something you'd like to have us work on, please email me well in advance so we could add it to the next meeting. Our next,
David?
go on.
Excuse me, David, we already have in place Chris Plant from the Mass 911 EDP. That's
Sure,
scheduled. Yeah,
we can have him at the next
yeah.
meeting. That's no problem whatsoever.
Mhm.
And we'll just email me his name again and we'll have him at the beginning of the meeting. So he doesn't
Yeah.
have to go through the whole meeting, but that's fine. That is great.
Okay.
Thank you. But anyone else, any other topics, anything else of importance? I'll send out more information. I'm glad to get back on a regular schedule again of meetings. The next meeting will be March 28th at 2
Okay.
p.m. Still on Zoom. That is going to change.
Yep.
And at this point, does anyone have any comments, questions, anything they would like to bring up?
No, I just think it's great for us to be meeting back again. We're a great passionate group. And I think we're all looking to try to make Bridgewater a better community, and we're doing the best that we can. I do enjoy the fact of having the various other disability commission chairs,
Yep.
presenting. So maybe that's even something we could continue to do, look into maybe some of the other communities that surround us that might be willing to come on and share
Right.
some of their experiences,
It's good to know what they're doing.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
That
hard
way
to
we
get,
can all be
it's hard to
together.
get through to some of them.
Mhm.
These two guys, Jason and Deborah, they both got back to me and they, followed up and so forth. But I reached out to some other local towns over and over and over again, and I never heard back whatsoever.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking I would almost have to reach out even a little further on the South Shore, because, I'm not gonna mention, but I covered everything I didn't do Brockton, but I did do all the smaller suburban towns in this area. And they are the only two that followed up with me after reaching out quite a few times. So I would probably reach out a little further.
David, I just remembered something that I had mentioned to you also.
Yeah.
Possibly for our April meeting. I think I had mentioned that there's a new community and economic development director. The town just hired.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yep.
That's what I'm thinking of.
And I would love to have him actually attend one of our meetings, maybe possibly in April.
Yes.
I was able to watch one of the town council meetings, and he did a presentation. As far as, obviously he was only a couple weeks on board. But
Right.
what a great vision that he had. A lot of things that we discussed and spoke about in the roadways and all that. I think he could probably share some of his insight. He was very refreshing, and everybody seemed very enthusiastic as far as what he's looking towards into the future for Bridgewater.
Right.
So maybe possibly in April to ask him if he.
That's a great idea. And that was definitely the person I
That's the
was,
person. Okay.
yeah, and you were very enthusiastic about it. Send
Yes.
me that again. And
Okay.
actually, he would probably be able to give us like a introduction and talk a little bit about what he does. And then we
Yeah.
could talk a little bit about what we're, heading for. And, I think that's great. So thank you.
So probably for April then. I'll forward you his information and maybe he can come on board. He has enough of a notice for
Okay.
our April meeting.
Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful.
Okay.
How about anyone else? Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to share, add before we complete the meeting?
No,
Oh, Anna, do you have a new email then, or what has changed? Did you say? I know your last name has changed. What is your
Okay.
last name, Anna?
Madigan.
But-
M-A. Can you
M-
spell that?
Yeah, Madigan.
but Anna,
M-A-D.
did you tell me, Anna, that you were using the Anna Nakuji still email, or did you change that?
I tried to change it, but it wouldn't let me, so I just kept it the same because then I
Okay.
had the whole thing, I guess.
Okay, so not to confuse me then, I will continue to reach out to you under Anna Nakuji then, correct?
Okay. Yeah.
If you haven't changed it.
No, that's fine. I tried to change it, but
Well, you know what? If you do change it and figure it out, just let us know, and then I would reach out. I would use your new one then.
yeah, I'll try to figure it out. Just there's like a lot on my plate right now, so
Yeah. But you're Mrs. Madigan.
Yes.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
and I'm just happy to be with all of you because I think this is a great thing because I meet a lot of people and I talk to a lot of people and I talk to people with disabilities and
Mm.
they don't have a lot of commissioners or people helping them. So it's good that we're here for them,
Mm-hmm. Yep,
you know? Yeah.
it is.
Karen, is there anything else you'd like to add this month?
Nope, all set.
Okay. Hey, let me ask you a question. What is this week or next week? When's the school vacation at BSU?
Next week.
Next week. I knew it was coming up. Okay.
Yeah.
No, my son does, I told you this before, but he's doing the night classes and he said he doesn't really have any projects for a 2-week. He had a test yesterday and he doesn't have a 2 weeks. So I knew it was either this week or next and I didn't know. Okay. Great. So,
Because I
Fine.
do focus group at the church there, so they let you know when they're on vacation.
Oh, the kids, yeah.
Yeah.
oh, yeah. Oh, I have one more thing. I don't know who knows him or who doesn't, but Emily Williams reached out to me. You know, Frank and Sue Souza.
Yes.
We know.
They lost their house in a big
Yeah.
fire last week.
Horrible. Yeah, I know.
And
Horrible.
I'm a Facebook friend of his, and what he initially did on Facebook, he just posted, "Pray for us," and I didn't know what he was, talking about, and then I found
Wow.
out afterwards. But I know Emily is taking donations at the senior center
Mhm.
to help them out, and I just want to let you guys know if anyone knows, Frank and his
Yeah.
wife personally.
Know
So
that.
yeah, so that's that.
I saw Emily yesterday and I asked her and obviously they can't do any major fundraising, but they said they can, accept donations on their behalf. So I guess that's
Right.
what I'm gonna be doing. He's done so much for the community, both of them, Frank and
Oh,
Sue.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
horrible thing.
Yeah.
You know what's sad about stuff like that? You have, so many meaningful possessions, like your family and
I
stuff,
know,
pictures, and you can replace furniture or whatever, but you can't replace your whole life of just
I
important
know.
things like that.
Ah,
Say-
just so
It's
sad.
It really is.
I
Well,
know.
the clothes, we have dishes, we have things that, I've been giving them to the church, but I can call Emily and see if she needs those to give to Frank.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what they need. Hopefully he's well insured, but just, you always need a little
know.
more. You always
Yeah.
need a little more. So it's nice
Yeah.
she's doing that.
It is.
So anyways, it's
Okay.
just after 3:00. I motion to adjourn.
Your motion.
I love that. I knew you'd be you.
I second.
Okay, remember the next meeting will be March 28th at 2:00. It was great
Okay.
to see everybody today. And we'll have to keep the tradition going and make it a monthly occurrence. So take care,
Okay.
everyone.
All
Thank you.
right.
Take
Thank
care,
Have a great
everybody.
day.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.